we are going to have a bit of a roundtable discussion with various participants from across the different territories now. So this is the UX Challenge International Testimonials Roundtable. We're just going to ask a bunch of questions, ask about their experiences, learn from different perspectives. We've got mentors, we've got organizers, and we've got actual participants, actual creators here as well. So let's unmute and get some of our people on here. We've got José Daniel Escrig from SECOT Castellón. He was one of the mentors. I'll go through and try. I can see you there, Daniel. That's great. We've got Kristi Jõeäär from the Tallinn Science Park Tehnopol. They were running one of the events here in Tallinn, Estonia. So from the organizer's perspective, we've got Chloe Hwang. They're a small startup from Italy, so they will be more on the SME side, getting their product prototyped. And then hopefully we've got a few of the students who are participating down in Lithuania as well. So let's have a roll call there. Daniel, are you there, sir? Maybe your mic is muted, Daniel. We cannot hear you or when you talk. Here we go. Yes.
Okay, maybe now.
Yes, we can hear you. All right, let's start with you, sir. Why did you sort of introduce yourself briefly, and why did you, I mean, as a mentor, why do you care? Why did you participate, and what did you learn about in the UX Challenge?
Yes, we were invited by Spytech. Do you hear me? Correct?
Yes, we hear. Yep, no problems.
Okay. We were invited as a SECOT, as a member of SECOT, to be mentors for the application program in the field of the Spytech, who is the scientist park in the Spanish University of Jaume I in Castellón. We are a company, are a foundation, a special foundation, to support and to mentorize the entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs in Castellón or in Spain in general. And my background is I'm chemist. I'm coming from the chemical industry for 37 years, and later, after retired, 12 years supporting, mentorizing young people, mainly to develop the first companies. And we know the project through Spytech, and that's all.
All right, good. Okay, good to get the background. Okay, Kristi Jõeäär, are you there, Kristi?
Yes, I am.
Nice. Okay, nice to see you today. You want to introduce yourself, and why did Tehnopol decide that this was a good thing to take part of?
Yes, I'm Kristi Jõeäär. I'm from Tallinn Science Park Tehnopol, and Tehnopol's purpose is to support state-of-art technology entrepreneurship, and this is the reason why we decided to take part of this UX challenge. We saw that this challenge creates practical value to Estonian SMEs. So yeah, that's why we participated.
Okay, sure. And when you were doing it, so I mean, walk us through. Did you basically run the UX challenge as is? Was there significant differences? Did you somehow adapt it to the SMEs in Estonia here?
Well, the thing is that, of course, running a virtual event was rather difficult. I think we all know the ups and downs or the pluses or minuses of this virtual event. At one hand, you can reach out for very different mentors, like high-level mentors, but at the same time, you want to achieve this special fluidum of energy from the design sprint. People working together, getting this like special feeling. But I would say that we had very good results, and the companies who participated, the SMEs with their challenges, they were very surprised how far did the teams actually arrive with the results. Of course, from the mentor side, we got the feedback that yeah, we were missing another like half a day or couple of hours, then we would have presented even better results. but actually the thing is that they exceeded the initial brief. And we even have a very successful example how one company realized that at first, all their processes were manual, but then during this challenge, they understood that there is no point at all to have manual processes, that they need to change all their processes into digitalized solution, and they will gain tremendous benefit out of that. So after a UX challenge, they actually made this huge shift how they organize work at their company.
Yeah, I was going to say, dig into that. Give us some specific of that, because you just said they had manual processes and they've moved to what? Give us some like a concrete. Obviously, you don't need to identify the company, but a concrete example of what that meant for them.
Yes, it was actually the ticketing service for transportation. That at first everything was you went to the station and then you bought the ticket. Maybe you were able to buy it with a card, and maybe you were able to buy it from the station like a device. But actually now it's possible. They have an app, and you can do everything in the app, and the systems behind the app is also very well connected. So this is the example.
So that organization, did they come in thinking, were they coming in going, oh, look, we know we need an app, but we don't know, we're going to have a go, then that really highlighted it? Or how did that,
Yeah, they had some sort of app. It wasn't working very well. It wasn't very user-friendly. So this is actually the reason why they joined us. They thought that, okay, let's give it a try. Maybe they can improve something. And eventually they were like, oh, wow, we need to change everything. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So that makes sense. And that was the stated goals of this project, was to highlight to companies that what can you do in 2 days? No, we can't knock out a full new solution. No, you won't get version 1.0 of the app, but you will highlight that there are these design challenges and possibly start to point us in the correct direction. So it sounds like a textbook case of a company
It was
being helped there. All right, thanks. We're going to just keep bouncing around here to our different roundtable participants. Chloe Hwang, working for TXC2, which is a startup in Italy. Chloe, I think you're there just on audio today. Are you there, Chloe?
Yes, for personal reasons, I've got a sick child at home, and she's right here. So
I have actually the same situation.
She has a bronchitis, so I unfortunately I cannot turn on the camera due to privacy issues, but I'm here. Yes, thank you for the introduction.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about where you're coming from, your background, and why did you think it was a good idea to submit your company to a UX challenge?
Okay, our company is we are a tech startup. We just founded last year during in the full phase of a pandemic. We were invited to this event by Hub Innovazione Trentino, and we thought about participating because we are doing something. Innovative, something that the users are not used to. It's a new features we do. For example, what we do is that we use artificial intelligence to turn the lecture videos, usually whether it's static, we turn into like a smart digital book where students can navigate by keywords, by slides, by anything that they find useful, instead of having to watch the video from starting to the end. So it's got many, of course, we have a very complicated process going on the back end, but also for users, these are features that they have never had before. So we had this question, how can we expose these new features to users in a way that could be effective? Because even if you have something great, if you don't know how users perceive such features and don't use it, there's no use. So that's the reason we participate into the event. And the results were really great. I think somebody just now mentioned about raising the awareness of the importance. we definitely had that because all the founders were from the technology background. So we are not really so much into user interactions, user friendly. We just thought that we create something feature great and it's gonna be great. But it really definitely raised the awareness, the importance of the design, how and the predefine the user interactions, and also to use the right colors, where to put these icons and features. So we have taken the design into our consideration. I would say that within the short, it's been just a couple of months, but our product is already in the market. We have we have invested into implementing the design we got from the results. And we continue to keep in contact with one of the students who participated, and she worked for us for another things that we had to do. The only downside was that I think for companies, small companies like us, always there's a really big budget constraint. So among the things that we have to invest, design, because this kind of design is not something that you would do all the time, because it's not that you have new features all the time, you have to add new design all the time. So it's a little bit difficult. It's a challenge for small companies like this to let's say, to block out financial resources in order to hire somebody, bring somebody inside the company, because obviously it's not something that work that goes continuously. And so I think something that would be useful, because now we have to go through another phase of design. And I've been looking at different external companies who could do this job for us, but I've noticed that the prices are really high. And because we are in a very particular sector of the business, also hard to find a designer who's familiar with this kind of market. And I think maybe it would be very useful to have some kind of systematic way for small companies to be able to outsource this kind of designers, and to implement this design process in a more flexible way and in a more cost-effective way, because it's not possible for me now to go hire a designer just for our company and use it as internal. Big companies, I used to work for Microsoft, we used to have a designer, because a big company like that, they have the time, resources to bring in person like that. But small companies, this is a big challenge. I understand the importance of design, but it's a little bit difficult for me to actually implement it as a part of a continuous process in the company.
Okay, that's interesting. There's a lot to unpack there and go through, because it really does strike to the core of what we're doing with this project. So to be clear about a few things. So before the challenge, you had not directly employed a UI designer. How did you come up with that original design before this?
I came up with it.
Okay.
I'm the CEO, and because I studied computer science, and I also took let's say a course in human computer interaction. So I came up with the design, and also from help with other founders. We just drew something. We thought, okay, this is gonna be it, But then we realized as we were doing the design, there are so many new features that we're providing. And we kind of arrive at a point that, okay, we have no idea where to put these features and how users will perceive it. So that's why we decided to participate into this event to get some help, and was also very curious how the result would come out, how different it would be, the outcome from what we have designed internally.
That is interesting. So, okay, we went through the process, we did the challenge, and then, so still, it's an interesting case example. I'm digging into this like small company thing where there's not the money to throw around. So do you currently have a full-time UI designer, or it's only freelance?
No, we don't have it. We made use of the result. The students did a really good job. They came into the first place. We used a design that not completely the same, but in principle, we use the same design to change the entire interface of our product. And I did have some other work items for design a month ago. I kept in touch with the students who participated in this event, and I hired as a freelancer, but the work has been finished. So what I'm saying is this design is that whenever I have a new feature or new customer, I might need this process of redesigning the interface and everything, but it's not something that I need all the time on a daily basis like a developer. So it becomes a little bit difficult because hiring freelancer or going to external company who does only user interface, the costs are really high, and not necessarily the person knows the market sector that we are playing in. So there's a lot of time trying to explain what we do, what our services do, etc. So that's the challenge that I have faced in implementing this new knowledge that I gained from the event.
It's very interesting to hear that insight into your company. And as you said, you're the CEO, so you know everything that goes on. Because I mean, one perspective would be to say like, well, the user interface is everything. It's what user interfaces make or break a lot of apps these days, despite how technological. So I would say my first thought would be like, yeah, you better. Why aren't we spending lots of money on this? But look, I run a small business as well. I know that it's not as easy as that to say that's that huge priority. Why don't we just throw the money on it? Look, everything is really important. With this, so now are you doing like a little bit of an ongoing engagement with that student or that person who was doing the freelancing, who was part of the project and freelance for you? Is that a possible outcome there? It's a freelancer, but they are consistent. So at least you're not onboarding a new person each time. Is there some hope for maybe that scheme for a company like yours?
Yes, as we expand, I would be more flexible with the budget. And it was great to get to know some of the students because some of them really stood out. So I kept in touch. And I'm willing to give her more work if she's available, because she already did her work for us for a month and she concluded. And I do have another some series of design work to do, because now we want to do some analysis how our design is compatible with the habits of the users, because our product has a lot of new functions. Basically, we're watching a video, so there are products like YouTube and everything online, and we want to make sure that our current design doesn't interfere with the user's prior knowledge of using such a player or what to watch movies. So we are planning another activity involving we want to use involve users and bring those results of this user analysis into the design, which would be our final step. Let's say we have the design, but we want to know how destructive we are doing something the user is not familiar with, and going on the contrary with other type of players in the market. So this one, I am actually looking at several companies. I've had some calls with several companies, but I find it very difficult to find the right person and right company to do this job as external consultant, because it's not like everybody knows about the education sector, what players do, what we do as a company. And the pricing, because we are using somebody external, of course the price is much higher than having somebody inside the company. So these are the difficulties I am facing at the moment. Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting to hear about those on the ground issues. I mean, that's the real deal. And no doubt there's some of the next steps that we're going to be looking at with this program about how to perfect and get a little further with the practical reality. So, okay, Chloe, thanks. We're going to move on a little bit. I will jump back to you probably before the end. And I want to go out to some of the students who are participating as solvers from Lithuania. Do we have any of those? Got Agne, Agnesa, Laura, Ignas, any of you guys in here right now?
All of us.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you're all here. Great. That's what we need. 4 people. Good. Lithuania rolls up big. I like it. Ignas, do you want to give us some? Okay, I see you on the screen there. So I'll address you right now. Can you give us some background? Okay, where are you guys coming from? How did you find about the UX challenge, and tell us about your experiences with it?
Well, I basically 2 members of our team were taking courses. So that's me and one of Agne, because there's 2 Agne. Yeah, so we were taking courses in at Code Academy. Those were intermediate or advanced web design, UX UI design level courses. Yeah, and I don't remember exactly how that was communicated. It was either by our lecturer or by the program coordinator that there's this UX challenge. Would you like to participate? And yeah, that's how we ended up participating here.
Okay, so you got in there, you got in the group, and how was it? Talk about like working in a virtual environment. I think most people here, I'm going to take a large presumption to say they've done some sort of hackathon, some sort of event before. They understand how it is when we get together, we whiteboard, we're sitting across a table. Was it a bit, there's got to be some time at first where it's a bit distant at first. All right, I'm just talking to some guy through a screen. How did you sort of ramp up and deal with the virtual challenge?
Well, to start with, our courses basically were fully remote. So in those terms, it wasn't new. But mostly, you know, the courses were just listening and maybe asking questions or just looking at the slides. There wasn't that much of a teamwork. And here now with this with the challenge, you have a teamwork to do. You have a solution to arrive at in a short period of time. So obviously, you know, you're at the comfort of your own home, which is nice. But it was a bit challenging, obviously, because, you know, obviously prototyping cannot be done by everyone. Like the very prototyping where you have to design everything and put everything in the application, right? So yeah, so then, you know, one person has to do that, and everyone else is helping and doing everything else. So yeah, so it was a bit challenging, but it was something really fun and exciting to do.
All right, I'm interested in one topic that's like a pet topic for me is university groups. And we have a group, anytime anyone's ever done a project in a university, everyone the world over has the same thing. Oh, there's 4 people in a group, one person never showed up, one person tried to do everything, and 2 people weren't sure what's going on. That university groups are typically not organized well. And I think that's because a university often, and again, I'm not speaking about your circumstance, when people at university are just thrown together in a group, they're not a workplace. There is no structure. There is no defined leader. There's no pre-existing hierarchy, let's say. And so often university groups can have a problem because they've got to self-organize who's the leader, who's taking different roles. And so that's why I think university projects often fall down. So, but I understand in this project, we've not only got the companies, but we've got mentors as well who are guiding you, and we've got the 4 of you. So I want to just talk about the dynamic between the 4 of you and the mentor. Were they acting like a leader, or how did you see their input in this process?
Shall I be the one answering the question, or maybe someone else from the team would like to?
Sure. Who else do you think? Well, there you go. Delegating responsibility. Okay. Straight up.
No. I mean, you know, I want everyone to have a say in, you know, all the experience that we had.
Okay. Who else is on there? Agne or Agnesa? Laura, are you there?
Yeah.
Laura.
I can answer. Yeah.
Let's
sure.
go.
So, okay, about that, the mentor was like a guide how to approach a process, I believe. More like that, but we 4 managed to take parts to share the responsibilities. Yeah, it looks like it could be like a challenge because we came here from different environments. We never met except Ignis and Agne, but overall somehow I believe we managed to share the responsibilities, what to do, maybe a little bit based on the experience we have, based on the knowledge we had before the challenge. So yeah, I don't think so that this one was the issue. So it came naturally.
Okay, that's interesting. And I think that I dare say that maybe you guys are more the exception rather than rule. Whenever we have 4 groups of 4 people individually coming together, we need some structure. So there might be something there as well for future projects, looking at how the solvers self-organize, how they create those bonds, which it's great that you were able to do it. Laura, the company that you were working for, were they also Lithuanian or from somewhere else?
Yeah, they are Lithuania company.
Were you already
based
familiar with them, or tell us about the company? Were you already familiar with them before the challenge?
Okay, so the company is called Last Mile, and it is for ordering the groceries for home.
Sure.
So the company was quite known in Lithuania. I never used their services before the challenge, but yeah, I knew them. So the task was very specific and not simple, but very specific to redesign to help them with the address filling form. So I believe that because the task was so specific, so concrete, we managed to I don't know, go through the all design sprint steps and to find the solution in a short time, because it was very short time, just, I believe 3 or 2 days. Yeah. So yeah, I recommend for next challenges to go with a very specific task and pain point.
It was 2 days and 1 night.
Yeah, for some of us.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, that how to define the initial challenge, how to define the initial project and the scope of that. And your experiences were to keep it as small as possible. It's not just, hey, do whatever, do the whole thing. It's here's one page, here's one section, here's one part, and just attack that. Because, well, as we were talking about, the goal here is to highlight in the organization the difficulties they have with design, to highlight that there's probably a design problem. So we don't need to do the whole thing. We can just carve off one little piece. And then when we highlight the difficulties just in one little piece, that already may open up everybody's eyes in the SME to say like, oh, okay, well, we got to look further at this.
Yeah, because it's probably impossible to create a whole application, a whole idea, to implement a whole idea in 2 days and 1 night at max. So yeah, it's as Laura said, we got a really straightforward problem that was really causing this nuisance, unnecessary nuisance for the company, and we had to arrive at the solution.
Good. Okay, I'm just going to bounce around. Thank you very much to Ignas and Laura. I'm going to bounce around now back to Daniel. Are you still there, sir? Oh, I've jumped in. Oh, he's probably out getting a coffee. Daniel? Sorry, you're there. Good. Yes. Daniel, I wanted, as a mentor, I wonder if you could comment on how did you help the solvers? How did you help the students? Did you find them organized, disorganized? How did that work?
Yes, I want to say something about that what I have mentioned, the students. Is that our job will be better if we have a previous contact with the company, because during the process, we cannot forget the highlights and the challenge that requests the company. Is the key point that we need to solve. But if we receive at the same time that them, all the information, and with the same level, if the communication is not good at the beginning, all the process could be wrong or could be not enough as it could be. So in that sense, we'll be not bad in the new applications, a previous meeting, a mentor company, in order to have some questions to the company in order to understand much better the challenge of the company, because sometimes the students don't don't understand very well the challenge, and then they can pass to different, and it's difficult to change this way they have if we have not better or more important information than they have.
As over the 2 days, are you working with the company representative constantly through the 2 days, or is it just really you and the solvers?
No. We were just punctually some moments in contact with the company. In general, the company was not involved directly, except in the moments especially designed for this introduction. There were not one mentor, and in some cases, the person in contact changed a bit during the process. That means that the previous one, the next one doesn't know what previous one has explained.
Sure.
So in that sense, could be confusing. Is that what I mentioned in my previous comment, that to have an initial global activity or contact between mentor and company in order to improve all the process, and mainly to support better the students.
Okay, so working on creating better communication between the mentor and the company, that
Yes.
can be a better gateway, so that if the mentor understands better, they are better able to
Yes.
direct the solvers and the students.
Yes.
Okay, very good. We're going to wrap up in just a few minutes. Daniel, thank you very much. I'm going to take one more round of questions to Kristi there. Are you still there, Kristi?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll wrap up. We'll kind of wrap up on this one. Let's be let's try and take that detached view now. What do you think? What do you think could be improved in the process? And maybe personally, what do you think Tehnopol yourselves could have done better when you implemented it?
There are two things, actually. One thing is that actually the form that the companies were supposed to fill was very detailed. So what we actually did was that at first we communicated and didn't ask them to fill in the form, because we were discussing that when they click on the link and they see how much information is needed, then probably the drop-off gonna be very big. So at first we gave them just a link. They said that yes, we are interested. Then we made a phone call, and then only after that we sent the form, and then they were ready actually to fill in it. Okay. So that was one thing in the process that could be done different. That I think not to ask to fill in the, because scare them off. But Tehnopol could have done different. I think it's the thing that everyone are struggling going, that the time it did, and we should have started communication earlier. And what we did start early enough, but we didn't have actually time to test with different segments the value proposition that we had. For example, for problem solving, whether the things that we are offering actually matter to them. So we were lucky. The value proposition mattered, and we found the problem solvers. But for the companies, for example, when we did the communication to hire them, then what happened was that they saw the direct mail, they saw the ads, but somehow they didn't react immediately. So we did this extra round of making phone calls and explaining, and then we got this relevance out from the phone calls. So what we could have done differently is that we should have started even earlier with our communication, and we should have tested what is relevant for different segments and what is not relevant, and then build up the communication based on this knowledge.
Okay, all good. Well, look, it's good to reflect. It's good to be detached, but I think this is why you do these projects. It's not that you could necessarily know all this before. This is why it was done. So this could be rolled into the playbook, and no doubt the playbook will keep on being evolved over time for each place. Kristi, thank you very much. We're going to have to leave our roundtable there. So thank you to Daniel, Kristi, Chloe, and we had Agna and Laura and Ignas from Lithuania, the students there. Thank you for those inputs. I think this was great. This talk, we really dug into some of the examples of how this is working.